Welcome to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including today, Paramount may soon get new leadership and billions spent to be invested in the company. This week, we're also seeing the FCC force internet providers to put what they're calling nutrition labels on, but labels that will clearly list the true cost of the service, the speed you can really expect from it, and more with it. And Congress is working on a new bill to protect your privacy online. This will impact streaming services and more. Now, if you want to learn more about these stories and the others I'll be talking about in a quick second, you can find a link to each story in the first pinned comment and in the show notes down below. If you're new here, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. Let YouTube know you enjoy what we do here so YouTube recommends our videos to more people. And hopefully we can help you break free from the high cost of TV, but still watch the shows you enjoy. With that said, let's dive into it. Now, for over a week, we've known that Sundance and Paramount are very close to a deal that would see the two companies merge together. Now, Bloomberg has come out with a new report that they say from sources with knowledge of the situation. It says Skydance's leadership team, basically CEO, will become the new president of a combined company. And with this, they intend to spend billions of dollars to revitalize Paramount and invest in the company. We'll see what that actually means, but it's reported that Paramount and Skydance will soon enter a exclusivity deal. This means for about 30 days that the two companies will be the only ones discussing a possible merger or sale of Paramount. We'll keep a very close eye on this, but definitely sounds like there are some very advanced talks, which also include plans for what will happen in a post-merger world. Now, let's say a deal is signed today when you're watching this. We're still very far from this actually happening. Not only do we have to get a deal done, investors or stockholders and the like will need to approve it. We'll also probably need to go out there. Well, actually, we won't need investors because the family that shares they'll be buying or merging, I think, has enough majority control that one family doesn't need other investors to do it because they own 70% of the company. But this will definitely face regulatory review, and that can take some time. So even though this sounds like it's getting very close, if a deal happened today, we're still months at least away from this really becoming a reality. But leave me a comment. What do you think? What would you like from new leadership over at Paramount? What changes would you like to see them do? All right, the FCC this Wednesday on the 10th of April will put new rules in that most internet service providers will need to do these nutrition labels. These will include things like the monthly cost of the service, what the advertised speed is, what the typical download speed is, what the typical upload speed is, and what the latency typically is. And then what's happening here is the FCC is basically saying you advertise these speeds, but are you actually delivering them? And there's a bunch of ways that go through this to let you know what's happening there. It also must disclose things like equipment installation fees, rental fees, one-time fees at purchase, and more. All must be disclosed in these broadband nutrition labels for potential new and existing customers. I'm a big fan of this. I have often railed against the hidden fees in internet and especially television. I think some of the television fees, like regional sports fees and broadcast television fees, are the most egregious because they advertise these channels as being part of the package, but they don't mention very clearly, you have to dig or read very small print, that there's an additional fee for those channels, even though they're not channels you could remove from the package if you didn't want them. I love this. I'm very excited about it. This will go into effect on Wednesday. A few very small internet providers will not be impacted by this, but the vast majority of internet providers will. Some have already rolled these out, including Google Fiber. They already have these labels on their service. Next story up, Congress is working on putting new laws that put limits on how companies can sell your private data online. Now, this is currently in a proposal state at committee level, but it's a very nice plan here. There's certain things I may want to tweak, but overall it's a pretty good plan. It basically limits companies who collect data online, which includes streaming service who collect your viewership data, puts limits on how they can sell it and broker it and do things with it. With that. Now, this happens everywhere. I may not be doing it, but I have ads on my videos and on my site. And those companies who manage those ads probably collect data on you. Those companies would need to better manage how they do that or follow these new rules and how they sell that data to allow other people to target ads to you, for example. We'll see how that plays out. It's still very early. It's very possible this could never even see the light of day in the full Congress and Senate and the like, but it's at least something being talked about. I do believe there should be more protections for privacy and consumers' personal data. You'd be amazed how much data is out there being collected about you from places you don't even realize data is being collected. So keep a very close eye on this. With this, it doesn't really stop companies from collecting your data. It more puts limits on how they can use it and particularly how they can sell your data. So keep that in mind. AMC Networks is going to be launching new ad-supported streaming versions of Shudder, the horror service, Sundance Now, and IFC Films Unlimited. Now, AMC Plus last year launched an ad-supported version at $4.99 a month with a light ad load. I kind of find it funny, all these streaming services who are launching ad-supported versions all say, we have a light ad load, but that's what they're doing. Now, the exact dates when this service will launch, when they will bring ad-supported versions of Sundance and the like and Shudder to you is unknown. We also don't know exactly how much they're going to charge for these ad-supported versions of these streaming services. But cheaper versions of AMC's other streaming services are now in the works as they try to drive up subscribers. If you're looking for what's new, there's a ton of new content available on many different streaming services, including Netflix. We have posts over at corecarsnews.com with breaking down everything new this week every Monday. So make sure you check out corecarsnews.com for those. Also, if you're watching this on the day I put it out, and you should be watching every morning when I post these, Max has a 40% off deal for their annual plans. These are these annual yearly plans that already are discounted. You can save an additional 40%, but it ends today. Link in the show notes for this. Ends today. So check that out. Link in the show notes down below. And we did a deep dive over the weekend of how Roku came to dominate cord cutting. It's rather interesting. And yes, there is a factor of Roku being first, but why is it that Roku is dominating? In our most recent survey of over 1,000 cord cutters, 62% of all of cord cutters use Roku, which is a significant number of cord cutters out there. So how did Roku do it? Yes, they were one of the first on the market. Originally developed by Netflix in partnership with the CEO of Roku, Netflix decided, hey, if we launch our own streaming player, maybe third-party companies like Fire TV, even though they didn't know what that was, but other manufacturers of other devices may not want to put Netflix apps on there because they may be worried about competition. So Netflix at the last minute, once the device was fully built and ready, basically gave it to Roku, and Roku ran and launched it. Who here remembers Roku originally was a sound company that created ways to send sound from your computer to your stereo. Nowadays, that's a lot easier. Back when Roku was doing it, it was a very difficult thing to do. Then Roku got into the streaming player, and the rest is history as Roku now dominates that field in the United States and around the world. So it leaves me a question. How did they get there? And that's what we broke down in our deep dive here. Talk about some key things, some things that you tell us about why most cord cutters pick it. Check out the show notes down below and in the first pinned comment. But leave me a comment. Why do you think Roku is so popular? If you had to guess before you read the story, what would you say is the driving force behind Roku and why it's so popular? So with that said, let's dive into the question of the day. And I get this question a lot, and I don't know if there's a really good answer here. And that is, what streaming player or device does the best job of tracking what you've watched across multiple platforms? Which devices out there are the best to find content across multiple devices? Now, Roku is probably one of the better ones, I have to say. They do a very nice job with their universal search, going across multiple platforms and not favoring their content too heavily. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's actually a very good way to track what you've watched on Disney Plus at the same time as Netflix, as Hulu, as the list goes on and on. So I have a question for you. I think I'm going to kick this one over to everybody here. If you had somebody asking you, how can you easily track what you've watched across multiple apps through the streaming player or different apps, what would you recommend that they use to do that? Through a streaming player. Now, not a website, but preferably a streaming player, but if you have a website you would suggest, leave a comment, let us know. I'd love to hear from you. But how do you track what to watch across multiple different streaming services? Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Until then, take care, be safe. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support.